Hello, welcome to I Need Scrum Master. Welcome to my channel. If this is hi, it's nice to see you again. As a way of introduction, my name is John Bosco, but feel JB, as my friends do call me. If this is the first time you're visiting me, thank you and so much, and welcome to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always trusting me and always visiting me. I'm more than happy to have you here today. All right. For today, we'll be walking you through the third level of value delivery, which is called release planning. For most people, they've been thinking about how would they go about their release planning, what is release planning, what should be in place before going into release planning. So what I try to do today is to walk us through step-by-step approach on how to go about the release planning. So if you're an aspiring Scrum Master and you don't know what release planning is, don't bother. I would walk you through and explain what release planning is. If you're also a practicing Scrum Master and you are struggling in terms of how do you coordinate a release planning, this is a perfect opportunity for you to resolve that fear and mitigate that blocker you have there. One thing I would ask and encourage you to do, please click the subscribe button, like and share this content. Tell your friends, colleague about I Need Scrum Master YouTube channel, and we can be able to be agile together. All right. With that said, let's get started. I really believe that you can see my board. So with that said, the image we're seeing on the board, I use that to exemplify and to be able to give that overview, background information of how release planning or the stage release planning falls into place in terms of value delivery. Okay, so we do understand that every project starts with a vision, and having identified the vision of what you want to create a product roadmap. The product roadmap will let you know, breaking down, for instance, how many sprints should be involved in that project or product, right? And that will help you to know what you're going to do at each point in time throughout the duration of the project life cycle. The third stage is what is called the release planning, right? So in the next slide, I'm going to walk us through what release planning is, the purpose of release planning, what are involved in release planning. The other information you are seeing in terms of the sprint planning, number 4, stage 5 daily Scrum, sprint review, sprint retrospective, and another part of this content, right? I have made a content about those, so I would encourage you to visit those and listen to my explanation about sprint planning, daily Scrum, the sprint review, and retrospective. But one key thing or one key takeaway from this is to let you know the progression, right? At what point in time does the team transition from roadmap, release planning, and at what point in time can we get into the sprint planning? Right, so this will give you an idea what happens in an agile environment, especially in a Scrum environment. With that said, let's jump into the actual topic for today, which is release planning. All right, so I'm going to, this is more or less on just an explanation on the image we just walked. I just walked you through, right? So this is more or less trying to let you know about what is the first step in terms of projects. So all about vision, right? The vision is the driving force. From the vision, it gives us an idea about the 7 stages of the task level that are involved in the value delivery. And in each of the value steps, the idea is to always inspect and adapt. Inspecting and adapt in one partly is about keeping in check about how far you are still on course, or if you are getting off course. If you're getting off course, then it is left for the Scrum Master or the Agile coach to be able to guide and redirect the team's attention towards optimization. And to help be able to achieve that value delivery, right? It is efficient that the team can be able to inspect daily, weekly, and monthly, right? So inspection and adaptation is a continuous practice. It's not like you have to do that one time and then you kind of abandon it. So it's a continuous practice. All right, so what actually is release planning, right? As the name suggests, release. Release is about a point in time when software or the product is to be made available in the production environment. So we are releasing in different environments, right? Especially when we are releasing to the production environment, when the end user can be able to assess what has been produced, the increment that has been produced. Now it's going to be made available to the end user, right? Now, release planning is kind of a timetable that is set for the product's requirements. We have the product requirements, right? So we need to set a timetable. What are we doing at each point in time, right? When are we making something available to the end user? So we need to have what, if we could call it a timetable, right? We are planning that we'll be releasing every quarter. In other words, every 4 months, we'll be releasing increments to the end user, right? Or we are planning to release every 2 months to the end user. It depends. Every company, every department can decide on how frequent they release to the production environment, right? So it is not like there is a kind of a deep dogma or, is this kind of a conventional thing. No, every organization, department, and team can decide on how they can release. And what is the purpose of that release? To mobilize the wider project team around the specific set of functionality that the organization wants to release to the marketplace. Well, let's give a practical example. We have, for most people that use iPhone, if you are an iOS user, sometimes you get a notification on your mobile device telling you that a new version of the software is available. So what that means is that the company has released to the production environment. Now it is asking you and updating you. It is kind of informing you to update to the latest version, right? So in other words, you are being mobilized to use the latest of the capability or that is available, right? So there is something you should keep in mind. Whatever the company or whatever department is releasing to the production environment, that is what they call the MVP, minimum viable product. What does MVP mean? The minimum of features that delivers value to the customer, right? Every product has its minimum features, right? So whatever that's the department or company or team is releasing is always seen, should be, I would say, the MVP, right? So that has value to impact to the client, to the end user, whoever is the end user, right? So the MVP should be the primary focus whenever the team or department or company is releasing to the production environment. Okay, so with that said, how does release planning happen? How does it seem to be in reality, not in theory? I'm going to give us like that step by step in terms of what should be in place in doing the release planning. The first is to develop a release goal. There should be a goal. What are we hoping to achieve, or what is the team hoping to achieve in releasing to the production environments? That is seen as a release goal. In Scrum, or in sprints, we have what is called the sprint goal, right? So what summarizes what the team is going to work for that particular sprint. That means in the release, the same applies. In releasing to the production environment, what summarizes that release, right? So that is seen as the release goal. Now, you have to identify the target release date. You don't just release randomly. You might get your end user so confused. So you need to have a target release goal so that, there should be a pattern that your end user should be able to track. And even you as the person releasing should be able to keep in check. Now, we talked about about the MVP. So you should be able to identify the minimum viable product you are releasing to your end user. Now you need to refine requirements refine requirements estimates as needed. And that goes into identify the team's velocity. What is velocity? Velocity in simple terms is the total amount of work that was accomplished, right? Each sprint. So you need to identify what is the team velocity, and for that release, you need to plan a release sprint if needed. Sometimes you don't require that, but if needed, you need to have your release sprints. And finally, you need to finalize the release scope, right? So with that in place, that will guide you as the Scrum Master on how to do it. So that final image here is a kind of giving you that is a way of exemplifying how the release looks like. You see it below there, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. It's just an example about, I mean, you can see how the release occurs. I mean, it's February and May. So for this team, that is when the release happens. And in releasing, you can release the highest priority, right? So that is what I mean by the MVP. The MVP correlates with the highest priority for that release. You wouldn't go with something that is not a priority and release to the end user. That wouldn't give a sense of the release goal, right? Sometimes the product owner champions the release, all right? And what is the frequency? Like I said, it could be every quarter, it could be every 2 months, it could be every 3 months. It is not encouraged to release every sprint, right? I mean, it's rarely do teams or companies release every sprint. Mostly it's always every quarter. We have 4 quarters in a year. We have first quarter, second quarter, third, and fourth. The same, reoccurring every year. All right, with that said, that is what I thought I could be able to walk us through about what release is, how frequently is encouraged to release, the release planning in reality as release planning in theory. Where does release planning fall into place in terms of product value delivery? All right, if you like this content, please, I would encourage you to help me so that I can always bring up new content as a way of encouraging me. Please like, share on your social media platform. Tell your friends about I Need Scrum Master. If you are looking for a place where you can get enrolled to become a Scrum Master, visit www.ineedscrummaster.com and you get trained for 6 weeks so that you can become certified and a practicing Scrum Master. If you're already a Scrum Master, but you are struggling in terms of what to do or the domain environments that you are working with your team, you can always reach out to me via email through info@ineedscrummaster.com, and we can be able to work that together. And like I said, if you know someone who is interested about Scrum or to become an Agile coach, please visit www.ineedscrummaster.com, and we can be able to do that together. With that said, I want to thank you again for taking your time to visit me today. If this is your first time, kudos to you. Thank you for visiting me. I hope you visit me again. Tell your friends, share on your social media contents platforms. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you. I am so glad that you trust me. I'm so glad that you are visiting me always. With that said, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to seeing you again. In the meantime, stay well. Bye for now.